Hello, Stacey Marie here. Thank you for stopping by my channel to watch this video. This interview was conducted in two different worlds, my world and one of my guest clients' world. My guest and the rest of the founders has revolutionized the event industry by attracting over 400 organizations who have realized significant cost savings on travel, lodging, event staffing, and venue rental expenses. Come with me on a tour to learn more about how Inverse.app can help make your next event a success in the metaverse. With me today is Peter Perez from Inverse.app. He is one of the founders of the company. Inverse has revolutionized the event industry by attracting over 400 organizations who have realized significant cost savings on travel, lodging, event staffing, and venue rental expenses. For more information, go to Inverse.app. Peter, welcome. Thank you so much for joining me today.
Oh, it's a pleasure, Stacey. Thank you for inviting me.
I'm really enjoying my own world, and I love what you guys have going that businesses really need to capture on.
Yeah, when we started, it was really important for us to find a way for communities to connect online. And we already knew that gaming was a popular way for friends and family to get together and play their favorite games. However, from a business use case, right, there were not that many that we could see, not that many ways that gamification was enable these kind of like B2B interactions. And so, we're really trying to take the technology to enable people to be very social using these game technologies and host meetings, host events, conventions, job fairs, tech expos, trade shows. The use cases that the kinds of events that have been held are vast. We've had crowdfunding events. We've had fundraisers for hospitals and for NICUs. And that was fantastic because they raised almost $100,000 within a very short time frame, and that was the most amount that they had raised in that event. More so than the IRL events because of just the cost benefit. They saved a lot of money hosting their virtual event rather than all the expenses that it would have been to rent the venue and the tables and chairs and the food. They held it online and they did very well. So the idea was is that we initially wanted to support indie game developers to really communitize their interactions between one another, and then COVID hit. And then we got, it seemed very easy because people were contacting us about, hey, our IRL, our in-person event has been canceled. We heard that you guys are building this technology. Can we use it? And we're like, yeah, let's give it a shot. And of course, we immediately as we entered into the market, we immediately had customers. We held our own event as our first kind of kickoff and launch, which was part of a job fair for the gaming community for like esports events and also some we got some the Marines and the Army came along and a bunch of esports organizations came in. So if you're not familiar with esports, it's just more of like competitive gaming, which is I guess a new take on how the sports industry is finding leverage within like competitive video games. So we aren't just targeting the Gen Zs, the younger audience. Where everyone has been looking at our app at ways to try to really evolve what a website means when they have people visiting their website from all over the world and have a virtual lobby or a virtual storefront. Really, we can use this technology for all kinds of ways, and it's very social. The interactions are designed specifically to meet people and know more about them, which you don't normally find in most apps nowadays.
No, you don't. And this is why, one of the biggest reasons why I wanted to have a networking event, because I wanted to give people the opportunity to meet somebody in a different country or in a different state, city, that they would normally not meet. And to help, for them to meet possibly that person, that business entrepreneur would be their customer, client. And at the same time, they could grow their audience on social media. And I just think this is great. And I think the other thing is, I have to say this, Peter, as a woman or anybody, is I could be in my pajamas networking at home. And I don't have to worry, about getting my makeup on, getting dressed, finding that right outfit that's perfect for that next event that I'm going to. I don't need to do that. I just have to get onto the web, and here I am networking with people in my world or somebody else's world.
Yeah, meeting people from all over the world is kind of one of those inherent traits of gaming technologies, right? Even social media. However, that's there's a difference, right? And it's evolving rather than from asynchronous communication. And what we're seeing is, and what we believe is that there will be this mass adoption of a renaissance of getting connected with people in real time, and continuing our relationships either in a professional way or just in a personal way.
Absolutely.
With the change for the dating apps, right? It's upon us. People, I we haven't had an event that's been focused on singles meeting and mingling, but I don't see that as an improbability, right? I think those events are on the horizon, and we're just waiting for someone to use our app to do that. However, at this stage, it's very business oriented. It's very event and convention focused, like the venue that we're in right now. There were people from all over the world, from India, Singapore, China, Russia, South America, Africa. I mean, we were literally hitting 20 plus countries in just an event like this one. And this is one of our clients, so I had little to do with actually organizing this. Our app is really designed for somebody to come in and modify these virtual venues. We provide a template, so you don't need any design experience or coding experience or even graphic design experience for that matter. You could just simply upload an image that you have, park it in one of these billboards, and start from there to create a call to action for people to register on your own individual landing page, that would feel kind of like Eventbrite, right? You go to Eventbrite, you register for an event, but what if you could go beyond that and enter a virtual world beyond that registration page where you can have an avatar and walk around and shake hands with other attendees, like literally find their avatar and shake their hand. In fact, let me come up to you and we can demonstrate that very quickly. I'm
And
gonna
I
go ahead
want
and shake Stacy's hand, and we'll see what happens when the animation kicks in. But this is how easy it is to walk up to
to,
people in
it is.
conversation and either poke them, or shake their hand. You can play paper, rock, scissors if you want to do, like a small event, or a small activity between the two of them. So as you make these interactions with other folks, you don't necessarily have to interrupt the conversation, right? You can organically just approach and, poke somebody to let them know that you're like, hey, I'm standing nearby. I'd like to have a conversation with you, and really let it go from there. We have heard in some interactions and folks that find it a little challenging to meet people in real time, to just approach a group of people talking and introduce themselves. Not everybody is comfortable with that, and it seems like these technologies kind of help remove some of those barriers and remove the fear of approaching a stranger and introducing yourself. And
Yes.
not just that. I mean, you could also just by attending an event and letting people discover you, they can click your camera and click on your avatar and learn about who you are, and then go visit your LinkedIn page and go visit your Twitter, maybe even go take a look at your website. But there's also some other perks to this, is that we're Web3 ready. For those that are interested in cryptocurrency and blockchain, our platform is designed to support the future of finance.
Well, and I want to go back to you're talking about designing your world because me being one of your clients, you're right, it's easy. You know, you get into your world, right? On the back end and designing what you want your world to be, and adding the colors of your logo onto the walls, adding your logo, adding, all these ways that you could add, to actually brand your world, whatever, through your company. And I love it because I got to see you guys from the beginning when you launched this, and got to participate at the very beginning to these events during COVID. And what I loved about it, and you just mentioned, is the fact that we could, talk to somebody and click on them. And maybe you could show that example by clicking on me, and you'll be able to connect with them on LinkedIn or follow them, check out their website. And I think that is such a great way of meeting people because we're all on social media today, at least majority of us. And with that being said, it's easier to connect. So you could click on it, follow them on LinkedIn, or connect with them right away on LinkedIn. And then later on, touch base with them after the event that you attended, and say to them, hey, it was nice meeting you at XYZ event, tonight or last night, and keep the conversation going, which I love about that.
Yeah, you mentioned a couple of really important things, and I think the accessibility factor for these kinds of events is really, I think, what's going to help ease the burden of those subsets of community. When people talk about inclusion, I really start thinking about technological limitations on that inclusion, right? I think about low income versus, right, middle class, upper class, where if you don't have the funding to be able to travel and go to events to find opportunity, these technologies are a really great way for someone to get on a tablet or get on their phone or get on, a laptop and click a link to join these kinds of events. Yes, anybody can join a Zoom or a Google Meet session, but the kind of conversations that you can have as a breakout session, one on one or small group sessions, those are a little bit more challenging. So, what our technology is done is broken down areas that can be private chat areas. I mean, you can call somebody one on one, right? I could click on your
Yes.
avatar and invite you to a private chat. Or I could just walk my avatar into a completely separate zone and I'm already in a group, in a separate group discussion, and listening in to the conversation that's happening there, and just to kind of organically introduce myself and say hello. And what's great about
Yes.
that is the amount of energy that we spend in an in-person event, networking and going from one room to the next and shaking hands and handing out business cards, is that, it really is, it can be taxing, right? If you're not a pro at that, then you'll find within the first couple of hours you're ready to take a break and, go put your feet up or go get something to eat and take a break. In this case, we found that, you can meet 10 times the amount of people in the same time that you could in an in-person event,
Absolutely.
at a networking event somewhere else, simply by just going around the room, clicking on the attendee list, seeing the list of participants that's there. If somebody is having a conversation and they're very compelling, then you can click on their camera and learn more about them and continue to, socialize with other people. But mm, add that person to your contact list so that you can come back later and say, hey, that was a really interesting person. I want to follow up with them and learn more about, maybe I have some questions, or, they said something that really resonates with my vision and my mission, and my purpose. So there's opportunity for all kinds of ways to connect with one another. We obviously can't think of everything, but it's a starting point, and it's yes, it's going to be clunky. Yes, it's imperfect, but we wanted to make it easy to use, and hence that's why it looks very the design is very colorful. It's very animated. It's not hyper realism, and if I could just speak on that briefly, Stacy, like there's a clear difference
Yes.
between hyper realistic virtual reality and the Hollywood style, right? What people will call the metaverse, or a virtual world. If you are trying to reach as many people as you cannot do it with hyper realistic environments, because the technology, the hardware that you need in order to access that kind of experience is needs to be very powerful. And again, speaking to kind of like the accessibility and the inclusion of this, is that we intentionally design it to be low poly so that it's not, very intense on somebody's a device, right? We want this to run and be as performant as possible, while some of our clients really want a lot of bells and whistles and custom banners and magic doorways that lead to a completely alternate universe, and lots of exhibitors and different rooms that are connected to it. But others just want something very simple, and they just want to do some fishing here in the water, which we can do here in a moment.
Well, Peter, this is kind of cool. I thought it would be awesome to show people what it's like to be or to have a hall room. And here is mine, for example. In hall rooms, would you be able to explain, like, for example, if a business is hosting an event and they're looking for sponsors and businesses that want to have a booth, how many booths can be in a hall?
Hey, Stacy. Yeah, thanks for inviting me. There's a lot of configurations for these rooms, with, just depending on the size of the exhibit, booths that are being added to the room. There are primarily three different models, right? Where if you're,
Mhm.
and this is how we usually recommend it, is if you're going to have all small booths, right? You could have up to 15 of those. If you wanted to do medium size booths, then you could do 10 of those, or in these larger, premium booths, or what they call it, what we tend to call it, you can have up to 5 of those within these exhibit halls. And that's kind of general, inventory for up to 8 expo halls that you can have in this, template convention space.
And let's talk about what is in, like, for example, the small, the medium booth size, and the premium. What is the difference between the three, and what do you get with them?
Yeah, that's a great question, because the difference between them is obvious. The footprint, right? The amount of
Mm.
space that they take up in some of these booths. The small booth is only going to take up a very small footprint, and you're only going to have a slide presentation or a video. You cannot have both simultaneously. That's going to be the same for the medium booth. But again, it's just a much larger than the small. And with the premium, the difference there is it's the biggest space that you can have. It'll be a much larger chat area. Each of the booths will be kind of separated out as its own separate private chat area when you move your avatar in and have a conversation inside. But then you can have video and slide presentation that runs concurrently within these premium exhibit spaces.
And what I like about these booths is that you don't have to have somebody manned it at all.
Yeah, it can run completely, autonomously, because of the hyperlinks that are included. And there is an NPC that we park inside of the booth, so that way you can open up some additional information and learn a lot about these organizations just simply by navigating through the event space. Find out more. You can bookmark and come back to that information, even if you are finished with the event and you leave. You can come back to the inverse.app site and learn all about these organizations without necessarily having to load in if you don't need to or don't want to.
And what have you seen that's unique about a booth that maybe a business decided to add to their booth that's maybe a little unique?
Yes, that's a great question because there's so many different things that can be linked to a booth. So anything that exists on the web, you can add it as a hyperlink to the desk. We've seen that tied to unique forms, specific call to action, separate video calls and other private calls that are linked out from within the event. It's really limited to your imagination, on the kinds of hyperlinks that you want to add to a booth, so that you can really go beyond just a basic presentation and you can funnel an audience into any external website that you want to. And it's great because it this is accessible from mobile or desktop browsers, so you're not limited to somebody requiring them to have a VR headset or any expensive software to be able to connect to it. Most tablets and machines with very minimal requirements can successfully connect to the platform. It might take a little bit longer, right, with slower internet speeds and machines with um, a lower end kind of chipset in them. But we've done a pretty good job at testing a good range of equipment capabilities to ensure that somebody can connect to the platform.
And let's talk about the type of events that somebody could have. Like, for example, let's say, is there capabilities? So let's say an author, right? Let's say an author's having like like a launch party for his new book. There's a way, if I'm correct, that when people are attending, they could they get able to order the book right then and then have a copy on hand for their avatar to carry around. Am I correct?
Yeah, we can design all kinds of handheld digital assets that can be included within the event as part of either a Web3 approach where they actually own that digital item that they picked up, or it could just be entirely cosmetic where they are carrying an item and I'm walking around the event, similar to you pick up a drink at the bar, right? So that within the dance hall you pick up a drink, walk around, you can give it to somebody, and then that's just like a temporary way of using some of the creative things that you would normally do in a physical event. We can copy that and have those similar behaviors in the digital side and even go as far as, right, that digital book that you're holding on to, you were able to access that because you purchased the physical copy. And then people can ask like, "Hey, what's that book in your hand, or what is that item in your hand? Where did you get it?" And it just helps create that experience that you would have in person can also be replicated in these digital in the digital landscape. So it's an extension of what we can do in real life, and very much, yeah, a book can be created and be tied to a physical item now with using Web3 technology.
I love this. And I've had the opportunity to come to several of your events, and I just have such a great time. I have a great time with mine as well. um I do have a question, like, how did Inverse.app even come to fruition?
Well, long ago, I would say about a little over 3 years ago, a colleague of mine introduced me to our CEO Joe, and they brought me in because of my experience in live events and marketing and sales. in order to create kind of market traction within our target audience that initially was primarily going to be indie game developers using, this social kind of environment for indie game developers to use this technology to bring in new gamers to test out their games. And then, COVID hit, and then we realized, so like, well, let's just host an event and use this same technology and see how it works. So our first event was a career fair that we were previously branded as Gamer Jibe, so we very much had the like this gamer focused approach for social worlds, and we thought of it as the next stage in social media, the next stage for social engagement over the web. And it quickly evolved into an events platform where we saw an increase in demand for events that went beyond just a typical webinar. Webinars, are really limited to a one-way communication. There's a speaker, there's an audience. In this case, now we really love the idea of bringing some autonomy to every user that came in, and that's kind of the short version of the story on how all of this began.
Wow, I love that. And I love the fact that, you're not sitting behind a computer and you actually get to engage. You have an avatar that looks like you, or hopefully you create it looking like you, and it gets to walk around. So it's doing something other than you as a person sitting in front of a screen and waiting for your turn to talk.
That's right. Yeah, you get you get to choose your own adventure in this case, much like you would in person. If you want to overhear a conversation that's going on within an event, you could just, be a wallflower and, walk around and listen to other folks engage. While that may be a little strange, right? You will eventually want to introduce yourself, even in person. But here, it naturally coming and going within a conversation feels even easier to do because you can listen to multiple conversations and do so rapidly to go from one area to the next, listen in and decide who you would like to engage with, and also learn more about that individual. So, for example, I'm clicking on your camera, and now I get to learn more about you before we even have a conversation and even connect with you on LinkedIn, go visit your website, add you to my contact list so that we can meet later after the event, because all the events, what it's really about is the follow up, right? What happens at the event is great, but it's the follow up that really drives, new business for entrepreneurs and, for organizations that are trying to build awareness. That follow up is critical.
Absolutely. You know what? One thing that I love about my own event and going to some of the events in each everybody's world is you have activities, or they have activities that people could participate in. They could win prizes. And let's go in and show the miniature golf and that room.
Yeah, let's do it. Yeah,
All right, let's do
we'll
that.
see you in the tailgate party.
See you in the tailgate part. Oh, that'd be great.
All right, excellent. Let's head over to the mini golf.
Yeah, let's do. So the reason for you guys were having or creating these tailgate activities, if I'm correct, is to be able to work together and be able to do something fun and provide like contests, right?
That's right. Yeah, I think what makes an event really engaging is to be able to have some activities that aren't super demanding on attention and focus, so that the conversation and meeting one another could really be, the primary driver of these activities. We felt that golf was just the place where business is always happening.
Right?
It maybe not always, but golf is just one of those great pastimes where people could still have a conversation while they're enjoying, trying to play around a golf, enjoying nature and getting outside. And it translated really well into these kinds of experiences because it's not too intense. It's simply, you walk up to the avatar, you click, select that you'd like to play the game, and then, try to pick the direction that you want to hit the ball. Once you found the direction, give it a little power and see where it goes. Now, I'm not going to get this in a hole in one, but we'll see if I can get this in a hole in two and maybe give it a little too much power. Yep,
You
too
probably
much
could get
again.
it.
So I'm gonna spin this around. Let's see. Let's see. Let's get this lined up a little bit closer. Not enough power. Okay. So we'll try this one more time. Almost there. Almost there. Almost there. Same
Right?
direction and within five. So not even close. I bet there's so many people who could do this much faster than I could. But you get the point.
Yes.
The golf experience allows for multiple people to participate because everyone can just take their chance, even at the same time. You don't have to wait for anyone to play the game. So the experience can supplement the conversation and supplement the social interactions between users.
Well, and it's kind of like the way you guys have it set up where, sometime events they do raffles, right? So you raffle off and something and somebody wins something, right? But here you could play golf and the winner wins something.
Yeah, programmatically, we can have prizes that are tied into, the completion of these mini games. Data is being collected everywhere. And when I say data, I mean specifically in individuals' activities and the actions that they take, not necessarily the user, like PII or personally identifiable information. We're not necessarily as interested in collecting that as we are in what are the behaviors of the participants within an event that would help incentivize an organization or incentivize the user to participate in a marketing activation. Come play golf, come go fishing, come, play cornhole, toss a beanbag, and then, out of all the attendees that participated in these events, how can we issue rewards to them? And so, we are tracking a lot of the behaviors in the event so that somebody who's hosting an event or a brand that sponsors an activity, they can issue prizes and they can do it from within the experience programmatically, or it can be something that's done post event that then is distributed, maybe a week or two after the event is concluded.
That's great. And I do want to ask you, what type of prizes have you seen that people have given away
We
at
are
events?
very popular with the Web3 community. So it's very common where NFTs are distributed as prizes to immortalize an achievement that's been made during an event because there's a lot of world firsts that are happening using this technology. Now, gaming has been around for a very long time, but for business use cases specifically, this is very new. Job fairs are not normally held on a game server and are not used usually not done with avatars and in a very specific environment designed for a job fair. Same thing with trade shows, etc. So it's very common that prizing in the form of digital swag or coupons or promo codes. Physical merchandise has also been given away based on the the top contributors, right? If you played the game the most, or if you caught the biggest fish, or if you got the most hole in ones in a day, or during a very specific time period, then yeah, any prize that you can think of can be tied, to those in-event metrics.
Oh, that's wonderful. I'm getting a little hungry. Would you like to have a hot dog or a
I
hamburger?
would, yeah. Let's go get one.
Well, and I think this is great because this kind of breaks sometimes where People love to talk and talk about their business, but this is makes it more fun. This kind of breaks the what is it, monopoly or monody?
The
I can't even.
monotony, yeah.
That's it. That's it. What I'm trying to say. I
Yeah, I
just want
think
to.
that's the goal is, helping people understand that a virtual event does not have to be a webinar, and it is not always a webinar. Most people, when they hear of a virtual event, they instantly think of a webinar. Oh, I'm just going to watch a video of somebody talking online. And that's not the case anymore. And we're going to continue to be a part of that education, just help people be aware of the level of immersion that we now have for events specifically in business use case.
Oh, that's great. I think my gal's gonna have a drink.
All right, excellent. Gonna grab yourself a cold one.
Yeah, and then she's gonna grab a hot dog. She's gonna eat. I love how this is. This is great. Now, one of the rooms that is really popular that I think it'd be great to show people is the dance party because our avatars love to dance.
I'm a little scared of dancing. I'm just gonna put it out there. Like I'm afraid I'm gonna embarrass myself. No, I'm kidding. I
And
actually
before
love to
and
dance.
before we and before we do that, I want to say this. That's a big cheeseburger.
It is. It's the biggest cheeseburger I think I've ever seen. Like I don't know. The three cheeseburgers on the table are still not. If you put them together, it's still not as big as this burger that I have
No,
here.
it's well, let's go show the dance party room. I think that'd be great and give the
Excellent.
example. All right, see you there.
All right, see you there. Go ahead.
So I love my dance hall. I guess they call it the dance party room, Peter, because this is a chance to, you know, make my, enjoy, dancing and having my avatar with other attendees be able to dance the night away at the end of the event. And if I'm correct, that you can actually upload like a YouTube video with the music that you want your avatar and the rest of the attendees to dance to. Is that correct?
Yeah, there's some production elements that are tied to some of the dancing and social aspects to the event. So when you're using this room and you want to incorporate music, there is a way to bring in any content from the web and have it show up as picture in picture, for the experience to, maybe it's a live video or maybe it's a pre-recorded video, and it would show up simply like in the lower left corner, like I'm sharing my screen right now. You could copy any video from YouTube and go into the edit dashboard, paste it in for this room, and then that live video would play back for all the users that come into this, dance hall.
Oh, that's great. And I keep on forgetting to mention that what's really great about a world, right? Your world is that you're allowed to have questions like the questionnaire stuff, like what book has most influenced you, like questions while your attendees is attending your event and it goes with I love this because it's great conversation starters.
Yes. Yeah, you're describing an entire room that we've created, and also a small seating area in the welcome lobby for icebreakers, questions that can be customized, and you get to decide what kind of questions those are, and they can be branded for organizations as well. Include the name of a sponsor for that icebreaker area because we wanted advertisers and revenue from advertisement to be a part of these event experiences, just like you could sell a banner or sell a room, right? At an in-person convention, we wanted that same mechanism to exist for these virtual convention experiences as well.
So, if I get this right, that I could have somebody find a business to sponsor my dance party room, correct?
Yes, absolutely. Yeah, because you can choose what the name of the room is and also choose what kind of branding you want above that doorway as attendees come in and they want to experience it.
Oh, wonderful. Well, and I wanted to ask you, what type of events that you feel that if people are reading this or watching this video, what type of events could they have? You know, like public speaking? Can you do movies?
Yeah, this is a great question because the use cases are vast. You can anything you can really do in person can also happen using this technology. Now, while you won't be able to physically touch anybody that's within the event or smell them, for that matter, or the drinks and food, right? You're going to eat your own drinks and food that are at your home. Uh, but you will still get to enjoy, you want to do karaoke, you want to, have a networking event, listen to some music, you want to laugh or get up and dance, and you really have a wide range of activations that you can do, but it can go well beyond, um, you know, just limited to the small group conversation. It can scale. It can, grow up to hundreds, thousands of simultaneous attendees using this technology without compromising, the end user's ability to be able to connect. Because we're using game technology that's similar to, the Fortnites and the World of Warcrafts in the world, so that you can effectively manage the number of avatars that you see at one time, depending on, your internet connection and, the power of the device that you're using to connect to it. So if you want to do Comic Cons and you want to do, the trade shows of the world, or you just want to have a small meeting space that's internal for your team. You want to have hold a lecture and do a small classroom kind of use case for this technology. That can also happen as well. So we've had things as crazy as a role playing event where live actors are coming in and sending new users that come in go through an entire role played experience, and then out of the end of it, right, they they're given some sort of prize or reward for completing it, all the way to a very basic pitch competition or a hackathon or a game jam, where developers are coming in and they're contributing to perhaps joining a team and then trying to win a prize for developing some software, developing a game. Job fairs are, usually some of the easier events to participate in because those are, you're playing matchmaker. I would love to see more dating and singles, right, using this technology to meet one another within their local community. That's something more that I would like to push more, but frankly, we've got a lot of interest in all kinds of different event models.
Yeah, I love what you guys got here. And I want to give a plug in because you have a client and one of their rooms looks like their red wedding from Game of Thrones.
Oh yeah, it's very medieval looking. It looks like a medieval hall, dining hall, or formal. They have all kinds of names for this, but yeah, it's very funny that you describe it that way because I'm sure someone else would uh, instantly be drawn to that, a timepiece like that, which is very wooden, rustic. There's, torches kind of lighting the hallway with, weapons and armor decor through the room, with, a spread of food, just everywhere. I think I find it really interesting that that is the first place that you go to, Stacy, when you see that kind of design.
Wow. Yeah, I think it's fantastic what it looks like. When I first saw it, I was like, whoa, it's it's incredible how you could put your imagination, what comes out of your imagination and what you guys, could do for your clients. And it's just so amazing.
Yeah, it's been a lot of fun.
Well, you mentioned about job fair and you're having one in September. Tell us about it.
Oh, gladly. It's a virtual job fair called the Career and Tech Expo. This would be an opportunity for any hiring manager or HR firm, recruiting company to have a booth and meet thousands of job seekers to invite them to visit and apply for some of the open requisitions, to help fill those positions. This event will be global, which means the goal is to get 10,000 attendees to participate in upwards of 90 or more hiring companies that are essentially looking to fill their open positions and have interviews on site in the event app itself, but also be able to review resumes ahead of time as well. So there will be a time period where, job seekers will be able to submit their resumes as they register for the event, submit that resume, and then, certain if you're a qualified sponsor, which means if you're just at a specific sponsorship tier, you would have access to all of that data and then, be able to review resumes to perhaps fill some open positions at your company. There are definitely more job seekers out there than there are jobs. So this is a really interesting and very easy event model, to grow using this technology. And we're just kind of blown away by, like the response that we get whenever we host one of these events. The very first event that we held on the platform was actually a job fair.
Wow. So if somebody's looking for a job in the tech world, how do they come to your event, or how do they go in to apply or send in their resume and cover letter?
That's yeah, I love that question because it's really easy. Go to inverse.app, and once you go to the website, all you have to do is type in career, and that'll bring you to the Career and Tech Expo event page where you can actually go in and start to get a demo and get familiar with the technology, but also in the description section just below the event banner, there's a form where the event anybody, really, job seekers can submit their cover letter and resume, and that'll be added to our database so that the sponsors and the job, basically the employers, uh, um, for the event will have access to that database. And so, you don't actually have to wait for the event dates in September in order to play matchmaker, and in order to, like have access to some of these jobs. You can come into the event ahead of time because we will be adding those companies to the event venue. And you can come in and explore, and it is a free event for everyone. So you can come in and get familiar with the technology and take advantage of that opportunity to be a part of it. And I have a feeling it's going to be very popular for those that are looking for remote work or filling jobs where you can basically complete the tasks from anywhere. Hybrid work and on site employment, like if you have to appear and work in the office or be there on site, that'll be good for some of the local jobs, and we will be working as best that we can that if you have open positions that require somebody to physically be present in that job, we will be targeting those local, communities to invite them to participate in the event. So, we're going to do our best to maximize the ability for anybody to fill open positions, even if it isn't, just a remote event.
What I love about this, Peter, is that in the world that we live in right now is after COVID, things have changed. You don't have to, live where you live at for a job. you could be living in the United States and have a job in I don't know, like the Philippines, or you could be in the Philippines having a job, you know, that is where companies out of the United States, and it's
Mhm.
just it's a great opportunity. You could travel and work now. You could go on vacation and work your 8 to 5 or 9 to 6 while you're on vacation, and then the rest of the time go have fun. I mean, it's just endless ways now to work.
Yeah, that's right. Things have really opened up. I think we've seen like a 6,000% increase in the number of remote work that has happened as a result of COVID, and that's not going to go away. And that's
No.
specifically, within the United States, or rather, correction. I really think that's, part of the global statistic, because the impact of COVID was so huge, with local cities and local municipalities kind of encouraging everybody to kind of kind of really the lockdowns really that happened to kind of encourage people to kind of separate and distance themselves a little bit until things were resolved, and it was safe to go back to the office. Most companies have not gone back to a full, office setting for, I have family that work for Apple, and now it's, 3 days a week they come into the office, and then 2 days a week they can work from home. And that has worked really well. And while there's some objection, some people have grown accustomed to working from home and prefer that and feel more productive. But I see it on the other end as well, that if you want to encourage collaboration, and you want to get a faster response from your colleagues, because it requires you to hand work off to somebody else, and you want to make sure that progress is happening, that having an in-office setting is also critical and important. So
Yes.
there's certainly an advantage to be able to do things remotely, and this technology helps ensure that we meet that demand.
Yes, absolutely. So I wanted to ask you, um, how many rules have you guys actually made for companies?
Yes, we are now well into 450 unique worlds that have been created, and just about that many events that have been created as well on the platform, because each world can host multiple events inside of it. So the event number is probably closer to 600 or 700, but probably around 400 or so different worlds. We've had close to 2,000 different organizations that have either had their own event or have created an exhibitor booth to be present within those events. And the event attendee numbers are like far beyond that, and just the visits on our website is well into um, close to 3 million visits
Wow.
just for taking a look at some of the events to participate. But the attendee numbers are only a portion of that. About 25% of those total visits to the website actually become an attendee. And that could be for various reasons. Either they don't, have an interest in participating in the event, or they're just checking out the technology for the first time. But there's clearly an interest in wanting to understand the technology better, in visiting our website and visiting the event app side at inverse.app. There's clearly growth and interest in how this technology is going to continue to be a solution for a business use case, and reaching an audience through event activation.
Yes, and you guys have definitely have revolutionized the future of networking, having an event. And I love what you guys do, and I love my world.
Oh, I'm
I
so glad that you do. It makes me so happy that you've found some enjoyment in creating and uploading content, and getting ready to kickstart kind of your own networking initiative using this technology. And I wish you all the success in that, Stacy.
Thank you. And Peter, thank you so much for spending some time with me. Um, in my world, I love it. And I'm gonna leave here and let my avatar continue cutting some rug as we end the show. Thank you, Peter, for being here. And I remind everybody, go to inverse.app. Again, that's inverse.app. And we should give them a code. So if they watch this or they read the magazine, that article, that they could contact you. What should be the code?
I love that. Yeah, if anybody reaches out to us over through our website, you can contact us. We have a chat feature right on our website. Let us know that Elevated Connections Agency sent you to us. Just type in the word Elevated, send it to us, and we'll be happy to give you a 20% discount on your next event that you host on Inverse.
Awesome. Well, thank you, Peter. And let's continue dancing
All right, let's
as
have
we
some
close
fun.
out the show.
Thank you, Stacy.
Thank you, Peter.